Hello, I am Yumma Mudra. I am inviting you to come to the YouTube serial of videos called Masterclass Yumma. I will explain to you all about the Danza Duende Network, and slowly we will be more people to expose everything we have been doing and everything we can offer, so that maybe you find what you need to dance your life and to live your dance for the benefit of all beings. Much love. Hello, I'm Yumma Mudra. This is the Masterclass A7. I was not expecting to do it audio, but it suddenly came up, and I cannot film right now, so I'm just going to record my voice. I hope everybody is fine. This series of talks have been going through the meaning of the Danza Duende Network, and it will go on with Section A, Section B, and Section C. Section A is about the foundations of the work and the deep vision of this work, and also maybe a little bit of intellectual frame structure, so to understand what is happening when we go through the direct experience, which is absolutely, completely surprising, because it is not dealing with experiences which we are used to. Because there is a sense of translucidity into the work. So trance is like going through something. It's like a trip. It's like traveling, and you have different countrysides and different weathers and different lights. And lucid is that you don't lose the track of the path. So you're not losing the track of the path, which is the link between your present situation in the material world at one moment with your body, and in the same time your whole presence in something that is much beyond that, and which is always like sustaining that, and it shouldn't be cut. So dance and art are absolutely the bridge between this deepest consciousness of the universe, which is completely filled inside of our own existence, which is actually the main part of our existence every day, at every second, at every moment. And what we have based our society on, which is the outer, external, material part, is only the tip of the iceberg, and it shouldn't be cut. Because when it's cut, we lose our minds, literally. So what I wanted to talk about today, and which was not scheduled in my vision of these videos, is about the control tendency. So I think it's very important to explain this, because slowly we're going to slip into a little bit more how the structure of the project was created in the first place, and then how it got transformed with the starting of the work breath with Michel Haji. And this work breath, which is very intense and in the same time extremely transformative of your own self, and also in the same time very helpful for health, for joining together how it works all the different parts of our bodies, and in the same time how works also our relationship to movement and to different rhythm and speeds. So in the consistency of the body in relationship with the weight, the gravity. So this work with the breath is very important. So it will also transform a little bit the way the organization of the teachings were set up. But if you understand the whole core of the work, actually the structure can change. So this is why I want to talk about control and letting go. Because if you understand the basics, then you don't really need to stick to the structure all the time. It's just that you understand why the structure is like that and how you can build other structures which would respect in the same way, even they could have different forms, they would respect in the same way the whole idea of needing a structure in order to go from the control to the letting go. So what is it? What is it that we mean by that? So control is that at one point you have some kind of a possibility to trust your environment because your environment is steady. Of course, control could be extremely healthy, like in your house, if you have a control over the roof. So it doesn't rain inside the house, and of course if it doesn't rain inside the house, it's much better for yourself, and it's much better also to keep food, because the food gets spoiled with the water. And if you have water coming through the canalization, also you need them to be cleansed inside, because if there's something inside of the canalization, the water doesn't go through, so it doesn't work. So all these things in a house is about creativity, because you created a house, or somebody did create that house. It's usually a human being, because this is human realm we're talking about. If you were a bird, it would be the control of your nest. In this case, it's your house. And you need to control that. But in the same time, of course, if you over-control that, then your house becomes the jail, no? Isn't it? So it's easy to understand at the level of material, because we got used to only think about material life and physical outset. We got used to always think dance is about somebody looking at me. We got used to thinking that we have to express ourselves, and it's really so important, which is of course true, but it's not. Dance is not only about that. That is just a little part of what dance could be. And actually the expression of oneself itself becomes also a part where we could free ourselves of feeling that we need to express ourselves. So it could become a jail too. So what is this idea of control and letting go? And why am I insisting on this? It's because I heard a sentence. Sometimes I hear sentences. It's not very often, but when that happens, it's usually important. And it's usually between being sleeping and being awake. And in that case, I was in Brazil, and I heard the sentence which was saying the Dakini, the methodology of the Dakini will never be destroyed. I heard it in French language. So I also hear these sentences in different languages. So in this case, it was in French. La méthodologie de la Dakini ne sera jamais détruite. This is what I heard. It's a little bit weird because it's a koan. I got this koan coming from nowhere. I didn't talk much about it for many years. And now I talk about it because now I think I'm starting to see through what that could mean and why I heard that. So the methodology is something that actually I really never completely wanted to fix, because since the beginning, I had a little bit this tendency to feel that in my society at the time where I'm living, people get more and more into recipes, and that things should be structured like this and like that. And so it's as if we're needing recipes to do whatever we do. And this seems to me absolutely the opposite of dancing, because for me, dancing is a spontaneous answer. A spontaneous answer to whatever is happening, to what is life at this moment right now. So dancing is really something that comes from childhood in my point of view, because we start dancing as soon as we start lifting our body out of the horizontal, the laying down posture. Excuse me, I'm sometimes looking for words in English. So when we start lifting up our body as a baby, we start dancing immediately, because it's part of how we understand rhythm and space and also emotions. And that spontaneous awakening of knowledge in our body could be helped in the sense that the baby could see that this movement, this tendency to movement, is one of the ways we have that is extremely holistic in order to understand the world. And actually it always comes together with sound, energy, breath. So you cannot really think that music and singing is different than dancing. It's just another aspect of it. So one aspect of music and dancing is actually the sound, and another aspect is the form, the moving of form. But when the form moves, it's making a kind of a sound, and when the sound moves, it makes the body move. So you cannot separate these that much, because the music is like it's underlined in everyday life. Music is everything we are in relationship with, if it is from the point of view of our ears. Mm-hmm. It's about perceptions. So in dance is in the point of view of the whole body. So it's not the eye. And this is what I want to try to explain now also. It's not because somebody looks at you that there's a dance. It's because you're experiencing the movement from the whole senses, which is the ear, the eyes, the skin, the tongue, the brain, everything. That's what makes the dance. So the dance is holistic. So this is very important, because we got so much into images that we forgot we're not flat. And we forgot that we have a back, and usually it's not easy for a lot of people to dance because they have the idea that they don't know, because they think that they have to show to others what they know in the sense of form. And dance is absolutely not only about that, it could be also about that, as I said. It could be about so many things, because it is holistic. So the methodology is that you have a way of doing something. But it's a little bit like driving, you know, you learn how to drive, but at one point you have to free yourself from the control, because otherwise you're never relaxing. And that sense of relaxing is very important. So in this case, the methodology of the Dakini, it means that the Dakini, they would have some kind of a way of doing things that would be a concrete, fixed, and the same all the time, which is impossible, because the Dakini itself is a representation of it's a symbolism of the nature, the deepest nature of our mind, which has absolutely no form at all. So to put together the word methodology and Dakini doesn't make any sense, because Dakini has no form. We just give a form in order to relate to the sense of what it's pointing out, the nature of our own mind. Like if you have an angel also, the angel is a relationship with something which is not in the realm of form. You just give a form to it because you need to relate to it. But the methodology of the Dakini is actually the first thought, best thought. And we already talked a little bit about that. And in the section B, we will experience that with different exercises, very simple. So the first thought, best thought, is that actually you cultivate slowly ability to create this mandala, which we talked about, which has a kind of an order, not in the sense that it's over control, but in the sense that there is harmony, there is a sense of equilibrium between all elements in that mandala. And this builds up naturally as ourselves. We like to be happy, and so slowly as we understand the work, we start having this harmony coming up, because that's where we feel better, that's where we feel happier and good. And so this mandala is like how here and now I am getting ready to dance. And this starts to immediately around my body have this sense of space and time being in harmony and having a certain structure. So this is what you control, but you don't control it because you're worried. You control it because it becomes a natural way of being into space and into time. And that's what the work is about. That's why there's work. Because actually the part of the nature itself, there's absolutely no work. It's natural. And so this is why you cannot over-control. And because if you over-control, as I said, the house becomes a jail, no? And the body also, and the mind is even worse, because this is where we start to get into the heart of the question, is about creativity. I always thought the problem is not that we are not creative. Maybe some people lost their belief in creativity, but even, let me spell out this very clearly, even when you imagine you don't have any creativity, or you imagine that you are not worthy of this or that, this is a creation, so it is creative also. So whatever we experience that is really not nice inside of our house that we built and we over-controlled, it's a creation. Because everything we do in the human civilization nowadays is our own creations, because we're not related most of the time with nature. Of course, some people are, but it's not most of us. And even inside of a house, if you look at your house, maybe you have a few plants, and maybe you have a dog, a cat. Usually you don't have rats. Insects, you don't really want them in there. So you're not really relating to nature. You're over-controlling a space into which you are. The natural thing is yourself. So nature in your house is yourself. And if you created that space so that you could feel safe, the nature must blossom from you. And this is not only about creativity, because creativity can be extremely, what would I say, extremely necessary for human, because it's the frame of how we are. On another hand, we have to be careful, because the creativity could become over-control, a space in which there's no more freedom. Freedom is that we're able to relax. It's absolutely the ability to relax. And in the same time, this is always paradoxal. So I relax into what I am, I relax into how I am, I relax into what I feel, I relax into what's there. But in the same time, it's very necessary to relax into the fact that sometimes I have to be in touch with expressions of nature that put me at challenge. Because if I always want to control out of fear everything that I don't like, this is how I become a control freak. So what do I mean by that? Is that if I have a nice friend and it's so nice, and since many years my friend always loves me and I love my friend and we are so great, and we imagine that our friendship will go on forever, and then that person does or says something that I don't like, and suddenly that person is not my friend anymore. So this is, or suddenly that friend doesn't answer to my expectations. That's usually what happens, no? So this is the paradox, is that you have to relax into that too, because maybe the methodology of the Dakini is beyond this sense of duality. So it's the same when you're dancing with a musician, or you're creating on stage a situation. You need to relax into everything that's happening that was not under your control, because for as much as you want to control things, it's never going to be possible to control everything. And that's very important to explain this now, because somehow it's a how you say, emergency. There's emergency in the world to understand that we need to go with the life as it is, to go with nature as it is, and not become completely control freaks. And in the same time, the paradox is that you need a sense of control in order to relax, and you need to relax in order to control. So it's not over-controlling, and it's not letting go in the sense that you don't have any sense of any more controlling your own body or your own mind or your own breath and your own speech. It's just that naturally you are building that body of wisdom that is able to let come the wisdom, because you let go what is not wisdom, which is neurosis. You let it go. And so that sense of control is actually basically healthy. So you will gain it because it is a good feeling. But it's not because you are over-controlling, like checking every day is your roof is okay, and checking every day is the water working in your house, and checking every day is there an ant under the table. So it's really very obvious what I'm saying, but I think it's very important, because when you work with the exercises and you work with people everywhere, everything we do, the methodology of the Dakini will never be destroyed. So you can relax in the sense that it's impossible to lose it, because it's what we are. But you, in the same time, you do have the word methodology. So it means that you do proceed with intelligence, because that's the lucid part of trance. You do need to fix your intelligence exactly as you need your pen or your pencil. You need it to be sharp, or a knife, you need it to be sharp. So the sharpness of your mind is important. You have to learn how to have your one-pointed mind. One-pointed mind is not a tense mind. One-pointed mind is clear, which is different from tense. I have to insist, because in schools we don't understand this. We don't learn this in school. We learn to get tense. And only people who have very high-level quality of work, like astronauts or high-speed machines persons, or people who are artists like directing concerts and very, very high level, only they get to understand this, because they could not be that good at what they do if they don't understand this. It's impossible. So why don't you get that, receive that in school as you are young, that you do control and not control in the same time? It's exactly as to, in order to breathe, you do inspire and expire. You never do only one of them. You always do both of them. And that's what makes you respire. Spire is the spiral. So the spiral of your breath can move and make life happen into your own body, because you are joining together the in spiral and the ex spiral. So all this is so obvious, but we completely got cut of it, and we are getting completely out of our mind because we're over controlling everything, and we have tools of great destruction. We have tools also of great communication, and we are not able to deal with the very basics, with the tool of my own body, and that's what dance is about. And your own body is mind. It's a mind manifestation. So this is why I wanted to do this little video about the control and the letting go. As you learn how to control, you learn in the same time to let go. Of course, if you were a child, that would be somebody that is like your parents, or a nice adult or a teenager who is coming with you and helping you to learn how to control and letting go in the same time. Because how do you do that? You come with that person, or that even with an animal, it's the same. And you let that being, you let it be itself, let it show who she is, who he is, and be on the side together with, in order to help that being to learn how to gain this one-pointed mind, and in the same time to gain this ability to let go of the worries about the fact that life sometimes is not what we expected. People are not what we expected. What we even tried to do doesn't always come out as we expected it. And so this letting go is completely part of how control and let it go leads you to mastery. You mastery of yourself. So mastery is something every human being is here for that. Every human being is born to be master of herself, himself. And in that way, create together something on earth which is in the same energy of letting go and controlling, in the sense of health, in the sense of a healthy world, a sense of a healthy society, a sense of a healthy relationship, a sense of a healthy creativity. And there is no recipe for that. It's impossible. It has to be coming out of your own heart absolutely naturally. You cannot say, today I am going to be this nice person because I decided to be like this, and then I won't do this, I won't do that. Of course, maybe you do that. Maybe you need that for a moment. It's over-controlled. But at one point, all these tools have to let go. They have to let go of it. Because there is something of a child inside of us that needs to keep on alive. And there is something of an elder in us that he needs to help the child. So there is something of a man in the woman that needs to sustain the woman, and there is something of a woman in a man that needs to inspire the man. So we really need to take care of ourselves in that sense of becoming whole, the wholeness of oneself. And that's exactly what all these tools in the Danza Duende Network are about. And they do work if you understand them well, and if you, most of all, get in touch with yourself, extremely intimate, with intimacy, with your body, your speech, and your mind. It is not about only the body, it's not about only the mind, it's not about only the speech, it's about the wholeness of this situation which you call myself. And of course, extending, it's yourself, and then it's both of us, and then of course, all beings that surround us and also live inside of us. So this is dance, because it's gesture, it's movement, it's the richness of movement and the richness of how dance is creating reality. How is it we behave? Okay, so this is it. I hope everybody has a very nice day, and we will go on with this. Maybe I do more times in podcast because it's quite easier. And I really wish and pray that it will be useful for as many beings as possible. Bye-bye.